Hello everyone, my name is Ashley Long and I'm going to teach you all the tools to create your first video in Premiere. I've been editing for 5 years professionally and I'm going to take you from knowing nothing about Premiere to being able to edit your first video. I'm going to show you all of my favorite tips and tricks that I use when I'm editing in Premiere. So in this first section, I'm going to teach you how to import all your media, how to start a sequence, and I'm also going to show you a little bit about the workspaces. So let's go ahead and get started. I am going to open up Premiere. Let's go ahead and click on Adobe Premiere Pro. Go ahead and wait for that to open, and we're going to start a brand new project. And here is the very first page that comes up. Okay, so on this very first page, when you're starting your project, you can go ahead and click New Project. And this page comes up next. So in this page, you can title this whatever you like. So depending on what it is that you're creating, if it's a travel film, if it's a love story, or whatever it is, you can title this what you want the film to be named. So this is just to keep things organized. So let's go ahead and say love, and that's the name of this video that we're going to create together. And I am going to figure out where do I want this to be saved. So that's the next step. So as you can see up at the top, you can see whenever I'm clicking it says L button, and that is just so that you guys can see what I'm doing in this video. I'm going to be doing some shortcuts, like teaching you different tools that I use to make things faster. So that's just there for your ease to be able to see what's going on. So let's go ahead and start off with saving it. So I want to save my video inside of Premiere course. So that's where I want to save it. And so I'm going to select that folder right now. And then the next thing that I'm going to do is make sure, yes, so that is using my GPU. And then I want to make sure that this is my scratch discs are on that same drive, because I have a lot more space there and because it's a fast drive. So it's an SSD that I'm saving it to. Okay, so that looks good. Basically, the next thing you do is click OK. And that's going to take us to this full setup. And yours might look a little bit differently from the beginning. I have in the past created different workspaces that I really want mine to come up with. So basically the main things that I look for when I'm creating my workspace is a tab that has like effects that I could get to really quickly. I really like to be able to, obviously start by importing your media. You can have this one, program. So basically that's what your main screen is going to look like when I drag it in. So the first step after you have come up and open this, you get to import your media. There are 3 different ways to import your media. You can import it by right-clicking and then selecting import, looking for where your media is that you want to use. You can select all of that and then select open. And now all of that media is in this bin. So let's make it bigger just so you can see it a little bit better. For now, this is the main thing that I'm showing you. So you can move all of these around to make them whatever size you need. Okay, so that's the first way that I'm going to show you. Another way that you can import your media is by going File, Import, and then do the same thing, import all your media. So that imported all your media again. So let's delete that. And then the third way is by going straight to your media bin that you want to use and importing it by just dragging it in to this section that helps you to keep all of your media. Okay, so now that you have your media imported, there are some things that you can do within this section. You can, first of all, let's say I want it to be a different size. If I want to see it bigger or smaller, there's this slider at the bottom that helps you to see it and move it around. That's one thing that you can do. In this section, you can change the order. I'm going to order this by name, by the length, by whatever you want to do. Another thing that you can do down here is you can create a new bin, and let's say you want to keep it really organized. You can title this audio, AUDIO, and you can drag in your audio that you're using into that bin. You can create a new bin right here also by right-clicking. You can select new bin and say story. And so let's say I had a lot of different audio tracks and a lot of different story tracks. I would be able to organize these into separate bins and be able to have it just quick and easy to get to. And I always like to have all of my projects organized because it just makes it quicker when you're working on things. So now that I've shown you this little section right here, I'm going to show you the different workspaces. I really like this one that I'm using, but let's say I wanted to be doing something other than editing. If I wanted to just specifically work on color, there's a tab up at the top that is just for that section. If there's just effects that I'm wanting to add, there's a section that's just for that. There's a graphics section, an audio section, and so on. And so each of these sections have different tools that pop up that are useful for that specific thing that you're creating right then. Now I'm going to show you how to save a workspace. Let's say you really like this. I'm going to create a preset for this workspace. So let's go ahead and save this as a new workspace. I'm going to title it Ashley's Favorite Workspace. So that is what I'm going to save it. It's going to be up here in this section. So once I go into workspaces, you'll see that there's even a shortcut for it. It's Alt-Shift-2. So let's say I go in and I'm clicking on an audio workspace, and let's say I've in the past made different changes. I can reset this to be how it started originally. So that is what this workspace looks like. So now you can see a little bit more about the different workspaces. The next thing that I'm going to show you is a really important thing. It's creating your sequence. The way that you create your first sequence, you can do it a couple different ways. Again, they make it really easy for you to figure things out. So the first way that I like to do it is by selecting the clip that I'm wanting to use, and then I drag it into this section right here, and it pops up, and whatever the size of that clip is, it saves it in your timeline to be that size. So this clip right here might be a little bit smaller than, let's say, this clip. I want to change the sequence settings to be the bigger size, let's say. I would just click change this, and then that would be the sequence size. And basically you see this clip that I had in before, it would be a smaller version. So that is something to think about. Basically, when you're dragging it in, use the size of a clip that you would like your project to be. You can also see the size of the clip that you're using. If you want to know, you can click on properties, and this will come up. It'll say what your image size is, or your project size is, your frame rate. It'll give you all the information. And so that is a really helpful thing. A lot of times I want to know what are the properties of this clip versus this clip. Let's see, properties. So this one is a normal 1920 by 1080 clip. This symbol right here, this is a sequence symbol. So let's go ahead and delete that sequence, and you can see we started out from scratch. So now another way to create a sequence is to select a clip and drag it onto this, you see this blue Now Note tab? This creates a sequence as well. So that's another way to create a sequence. You could also do File, New, Sequence. And now you have the option in this case to select an exact size. Let's say you were working a very specific camera like this ARRI. They have a very specific section that you could set your media to. You could look through it and decide what you want to do, but what I like to do is just keep it simple and use whatever settings my camera is already using. So that is the way to create your first sequence. Now that I've taught you how to create a sequence, let's go ahead and look through the workspaces one more time. Here is the editing workspace. Here's the color workspace, and you can see it has this Lumetri color panel. That's very important when you're doing the finishing touches on your project. Let's see, there's this effects panel, and I'm going to show you some of these as well. Audio, I'm going to teach you a little bit about audio. And graphics, this is also really nice. I've added in some animated titles that I bought off of a website that make it really quick and easy when creating really cool graphics in Premiere. This is a workspace that I just created for this video, Ashley's favorite editing workspace. Those are the main things you need to know to start your video. So in this section, I taught you a ton of really important things to get started in Premiere. I taught you how to open it up, how to begin your very first project, some of the settings that you need to do, and I taught you how to import your media, how to drag it on to create a sequence, and I also showed you some of the workspaces that you would like to know in order to begin your project. Next, I'm going to show you how to edit in Premiere. I'm going to drag in more clips and give you some tips and show you how you can work things in Premiere. I'm really excited to show you that next, so let's get started.
सो आई होप कि आपको वीडियो अच्छी लगी होगी। अगर आपको अच्छी लगी है तो लाइक कीजिए, सब्सक्राइब कीजिए और शेयर कीजिए। और अगर आपको कुछ क्वेश्चन पूछने हों तो आप कमेंट बॉक्स में कमेंट कर सकते हैं और अपने दोस्तों के साथ ज़रूर शेयर कीजिए और सब्सक्राइब कीजिए, जिससे आपको हमारी नई नई वीडियोज़ अपलोड हो तो आपको पता चलता जाए और आप उसके मतलब एक सीक्वेंस वाइज पढ़ते रहें। ठीक है, थैंक यू, अल्लाह हाफिज़।